Hi, today we've got basically a friend's car in. It is an Audi A4 Tdi. He's been having a lot of problems with this motor. See, these motors, they're used across the board, across the VAG range, the in V-dubs, Boras, Passats, etc., Golfs. That's literally the bottom line of it. Now, a lot of people have problems with these, mainly with the EGRs and injectors. The problem is that we're having with this is he's been pulling out of a junction. Sometimes he's got tons of power, and then other times it would just drop off rapidly, kick out a ton of black smoke. It was powerless. And then all of a sudden the power would come on, and then as soon as you drop below 2000 RPM, it was about 1800 RPM, it would do it again. So, I knew what the problem would have been, but we had to do a couple of tests with the VCDS. When you do the test with the VCDS, you're basically checking stuff like airflow meter, injector quality tables, i.e., etc. And what you're trying to do is minimize your time of taking this car apart, because these cars are so complex. It's a ball ache. You can't do what you used to do in the 90s, you know, like I'm referring back to the CVHs on the RS turbos. Some went on that, you knew it was distributor cap or plugs, and that was literally it, or fueling. This, they've got that much bloody emissions control stuff on the car that it's not even emissions control no more. It's more like harboring all the fucking carbon, then making the part. So the footprint's massive by the time you go through all this. Like I said, you're changing parts, you're exchanging parts, you're basically buying new ones from other countries, which the carbon footprint for them is huge because the manufacturing processes for the aluminium, the electronics, etc. And same with electric cars. Electric cars aren't actually the cleanest thing on the planet, and they're nowhere near as clean. Well, they're not a replacement for petrol, should I say. They're just as dirty. Like I said, the electricity that's needed, the infrastructure, the battery chargers that need replacing on a constant basis, because you know battery chargers wear out, leads, etc. The battery's afterlife going in. But that, I'll go into that in another video, but we'll get back to this. So like I said, these emissions control compliant devices on the cars basically want to strangle the performance, because like I said, it's taken, what, 12% of the exhaust gases and spewing it back into the intake, and just basically it's carbonating the whole inside the engine. So anyway, I've done all the data, all sensors were reading the right data as should, so we knew it was EGR. The EGR, we were doing a duty cycle on it and it was dropping off by about 2%, but it wasn't dangerous, if you know what I mean. It wasn't the fact that you were going, right, this thing's on the data is well out. It's definitely that. It wasn't. It was reading right. And the reason for that is, right, I'll just show you where it is here. So this is the exhaust side. Exhaust gases come back out here. Valve opens, 12% in, shut. And that's basically what it is. But if you look at this, this is the door. So if you look at this bit here, see this here, right? So that door there goes onto there. That opens, the car sends data to this. This opens a valve, it lets a couple of bits of the exhaust gases in, yada. Everything's hunky-dory. Right, this is pressurized under boost, but that links into that. This door stays open under load, it just spews the boost back out through here, and it fires it all out the exhaust. You get the black smoke. Right, the problem is here, look, everything looks fine, your door, but watch this. So I'll pull it on the floor, because obviously I've only got one hand. Right, everything looked hunky-dory until I got to it. So if you just play about with the door a bit, the door is actually, because I forced it in, watch this. That's supposed to be fastened to that. Now if you look in the end of that, I'll just put the torch on, and you can see it's broken there on the spline. So if you can see it broken in there. So basically, we're getting the right data as we should, because this is actually turning. So it's telling the computer, yeah, everything's hunky-dory, but what it can't tell you is mechanically, that's broke off. So what it's doing under load, this is just flapping about. It's sometimes catching, sometimes isn't. This was full of all this carbon. Remember, it's all eco-friendly, but here it all is, right? But if you look at this shaft, that's all working fine. So like I said, the computer is not going to tell you that that's snapped off. It'll just keep on telling you that everything's hunky-dory on these duty cycles. So, like I said, I think we're just going to blank this off for the time being. And the reason for that is we ain't got time to repair it. He needs the car back as soon as possible. So I'm going to do a bit of a blank plate for that. So we'll make the blank plate for that. And that should cover him until the part comes. I don't really like taking these off, but because you gotta go and you gotta delete all the bloody codes out the ECU for the EGR and what have you, and it can be a long process. So you think, is it worth it in the end? Like I said, these cars are more for economy. A lot of people boost the engines to the limit and get tons of power out of them. But then that brings up other problems, because half the parts on the car can't handle the power levels that it's spewing out, which people don't learn from it. So it can do the pickup pump, the high pressure pump, the injectors, and like I said, that's a whole different story that we're going to get into, should I say. Because like I said, I can go off course here and just go down a different rabbit hole of bullshit. But we'll tackle this problem, and we'll take the car back out and we'll see what it's like. And if that solves it, we've nailed it. But it wasn't just that it went no. If you look, it was a mixture. The airflow meter, obviously this one isn't off that one, but the airflow meter I've took out with this one, shoved it over into there. So he's got a new airflow meter in, because the data on that was running a little bit off. And yeah, you can't take a chance with these and go, oh well, I'm just gonna be up. No, just change it. It's easier, especially if you rely on the car. If you've got two cars in the house, you know, you can chance it, but really eventually you're gonna have to change it, so just fucking change it. Right, I'll sort this out. I'll make that blank plate and we'll go from there. So right, we've made the that little bit of steel to go through, and as you can see with that, that's a blanking plate. So this should hinder it for a very short time, until we get a new one. At a later date we might delete it. Just depends if he's keeping the car. If he's keeping the car, we'll delete it, but we'll go from there. I'll put the blank plate in, and next is fitment. So I'll show you after fitment and what I've done. But I'm not oiling, it's a blade. And there we go. Right, you ready? Short starts. There we go, my friends. All running. It's been out on the road, and I'll show you the work that's being done. So, new mass airflow sensor, and here is where we blanked the EGR off. So now, instead of having that little flap that I was telling you about, which is on here, we cleaned up. So that little bit that was causing the problem was in there. But what I've done and all, it's split some pipes, so I get some back pipes to go on it and all. But it's been out and it pulls under boost and it's not juddering. See, what was happening on the throttle was basically that sits in there, and when it goes under boost, that shuts. It stops the exhaust gases coming up on there, if you know what I mean. But if it opens during boost, instead of putting the boost pressure in there, it kicks it back out of that tube, and that's where you're getting all that smoke. So it would go boom, then kick it back out. So it would be under boost, underpowered, and it wouldn't run right. But what it was doing and all, it was doing the kickback, which was causing the mass airflow sensor to go down. all because of that really bad designed part. Near enough. We can see where it's snapped in the shaft. See it?
Oh yeah.
Well, obviously that was a lot dirtier than, well, it is now, it was clean. But that's the whole reason you do the service on your car, Caden.
Yeah.
Don't you? Tell people, do the servicing on the car.
If we go and do it again, like what this car's doing.
Exactly. Clean the throttle bodies out, do a full proper service. Clean intakes out, turbo pipes, intercoolers, lot. There's one that major service, and then you're good for another 100,000. But people don't, and that's what happens. So, like I said, we're just waiting for Dave to come and just show him his problems and yada yada yada. See if he learns from it. We'll see. But, yep, good to go. It's the end of it.